Okay, good evening. Papa Bear is back. Just a couple of hours after my last stream. I gave my voice a little time to rest, and I think I'm ready to keep going. So, in my last stream, I had finished, finally, the complete works of Emily Dickinson. Excuse me, I need to hydrate here. And then I read some other poetry, and I started in on Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And I think I liked the Longfellow poems, so I think I'll keep going with Longfellow. They're nice, sort of easy poems. They all rhyme, and they all have pretty regular meter, unlike some of the modern poets. And I'm actually going to go back to the beginning with Longfellow because I feel like I didn't do a great job with some of those the first time through, and anyway, I wasn't very far in to the Longfellow poems, so that's what we're going to do tonight. And we will also be doing my trademark triggers for a little extra ASMR. Okay. This collection begins with a poem called Prelude. Pleasant it was when woods were green and winds were soft and low, to lie amid some sylvan scene, where the long drooping boughs below, shadows dark and sunlight sheen, alternate, come and go. Or where the denser grove receives no sunlight from above, but the dark foliage interweaves in one unbroken roof of leaves, underneath whose sloping eaves the shadows hardly move. Beneath some patriarchal tree I lay upon the ground, his hoary arms uplifted he, and all the broad leaves over me, clapping their little hands in glee with one continuous sound, a slumberous sound, a sound that brings the feelings of a dream, as of innumerable wings, as when a bell no longer swings. Faint the hollow murmur rings o'er meadow, lake, and stream. And dreams of that which cannot die, bright visions came to me, as lapped in thought I used to lie and gaze into the summer sky, where the sailing clouds went by like ships upon the sea. Dreams that the soul of youth engage ere fancy has been quelled. Old legends of the monkish page, traditions of the saint and sage, tales that have the rhyme of age and chronicles of eld. And loving still these quaint old themes, even in the city's throng, I feel the freshness of the streams that, crossed by shades and sunny gleams, water the green land of dreams, the holy land of song. Therefore, at Pentecost, which brings the spring, clothed like a bride, when nestling buds unfold their wings and bishops' caps have golden rings, musing upon many things, I sought the woodlands wide. The green trees whispered low and mild. It was a sound of joy. They were my playmates when a child, and rocked me in their arms so wild. Still they looked at me and smiled as if I were a boy, and ever whispered, mild and low, "Come, be a child once more," and waved their long arms to and fro, and beckoned solemnly and slow. Oh, I could not choose but go into the woodlands hoar, into the blithe and breathing air, into the solemn wood, solemn and silent everywhere. Nature, with folded hands, seemed there, kneeling at her evening prayer. Like one in prayer I stood. Before me rose an avenue of tall and sombrous pines. Abroad their fan-like branches grew, and where the sunshine darted through, spread a vapor soft and blue in long and sloping lines. And falling on my weary brain like a fast-falling shower, the dreams of youth came back again, low lispings of the summer rain, dropping on the ripened grain and once upon the flower. Visions of childhood, stay, oh stay, ye were so sweet and wild, and distant voices seem to say, it cannot be, they pass away. Other themes demand thy lay, thou art no more a child. The land of song within thee lies, watered by living springs. The lids of fancy's sleepless eyes are gates unto that paradise. Holy thoughts like stars arise, its clouds are angels' wings. Learn that henceforth thy song shall be not mountains capped with snow, nor forests sounding like the sea, nor rivers flowing ceaselessly, where the woodlands bend to see the bending heavens below. There is a forest where the din of iron branches sounds. A mighty river roars between, and whosoever looks therein sees the heavens all black with sin, sees not its depths nor bounds. Athwart the swinging branches cast soft rays of sunshine pour, Then comes the fearful, wintry blast. Our hopes like withered leaves fail fast. Pallid lips say it is past. We can return no more. Look then into thine heart and write, yes, into life's deep stream, all forms of sorrow and delight, all solemn voices of the night that can soothe thee or affright. Be these henceforth thy theme. Okay, that was Prelude by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Next up we have Hymn to the Night. I heard the trailing garments of the night sweep through her marble halls. I saw her sable skirts all fringed with light from the celestial walls. I felt her presence by its spell of might stoop o'er me from above. The calm, majestic presence of the night, as of the one I love. I heard the sounds of sorrow and delight, the manifold soft chimes that fill the haunted chambers of the night, like some old poet's rhymes. From the cool cisterns of the midnight air, my spirit drank repose. The fountain of perpetual peace flows there. From those deep cisterns flows. O holy night, from thee I learn to bear what man has borne before. Thou layest thy finger on the lips of care, and they complain no more. Peace, peace, Orestes like I breathe this prayer. Descend with broad-winged flight, the welcome, the thrice paid for, the most fair, the best beloved night. Well, that was quite a love poem to night, I guess. The man was a sleep enjoyer, I guess. That was Hymn to the Night by Longfellow. Next up we have one of his more famous poems, A Psalm of Life. I like this poem. This is a poem that you often find used on inspirational posters and such, which is fine because it is kind of inspirational. But it's a little hard, I think, to read. I'm not very happy with the reading that I gave it in the last stream. I feel like it's going to take me some practice to do better. So here we go. Let's practice. A Psalm of Life. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still, like muffled drums, are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present, heart within and God o'erhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother seeing, shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing. Learn to labor and to wait. That was A Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I feel like I did a slightly better job that time than the first time I tried that. I'll come back to it again in another stream, and perhaps third time's a charm. So, next up we have a poem called The Reaper and the Flowers, but before I read that one, I have a little bit of a quirk with OBS here that I need to fix. There we go. Okay. The Reaper and the Flowers. There is a reaper whose name is Death, and with his sickle keen he reaps the bearded grain at a breath, and the flowers that grow between. Shall I have naught that is fair, saith he, have naught but the bearded grain? Though the breath of these flowers is sweet to me, I will give them all back again. He gazed at the flowers with tearful eyes. He kissed their drooping leaves. It was for the Lord of Paradise. He bound them in his sheaves. My Lord has need of these flowerets gay, the reaper said, and smiled. Dear tokens of the earth are they, where he was once a child. They shall all bloom in fields of light, transplanted by my care, and saints upon their garments white these sacred blossoms wear. And the mother gave in tears and pain the flowers she did most love. She knew she should find them all again in the fields of light above. Oh, not in cruelty, not in wrath, the reaper came that day. 'Twas an angel visited the green earth and took the flowers away. The next poem is called The Light of Stars. The night is come, but not too soon, and sinking silently, all silently, the little moon drops down behind the sky. There is no light in earth or heaven, but the cold light of stars. And the first watch of night is given to the red planet Mars. Is it the tender star of love, a star of love and dreams? Oh no, from that blue tent above a hero's armor gleams. And earnest thoughts within me rise when I behold afar, suspended in the evening skies, the shield of that red star. O star of strength, I see thee stand and smile upon my pain. Thou beckonest with thy mailed hand, and I am strong again. Within my breast there is no light, but the cold light of stars. I give the first watch of night to the red planet Mars, the star of the unconquered will. He rises in my breast, serene and resolute and still, and calm and self-possessed. And thou too, whosoe'er thou art, that readest this brief psalm, as one by one thy hopes depart, be resolute and calm. Oh, fear not in a world like this, and thou shalt know ere long, know how sublime a thing it is to suffer and be strong. The next poem is called Footsteps of Angels. When the hours of day are numbered and the voices of the night wake the better soul that slumbered to a holy, calm delight. Ere the evening lamps are lighted, and like phantoms grim and tall, shadows from the fitful firelight dance upon the parlor wall. Then the forms of the departed enter at the open door. The beloved, the true-hearted, come to visit me once more. He, the young and strong, who cherished noble longings for the strife, by the roadside fell and perished, weary with the march of life. They, the holy ones and weakly, who cross of suffering bore, folded their pale hands so meekly, spake with us on earth no more. And with them the being beauteous, who unto my youth was given more than all things else, to love me, and is now a saint in heaven. With a slow and noiseless footstep comes that messenger divine, takes the vacant chair beside me, lays her gentle hand in mine, and she sits and gazes at me with those deep and tender eyes, like the stars so still and saint-like, looking downward from the skies. Uttered not, yet comprehended, is the Spirit's voiceless prayer. Soft rebukes in blessings ended, breathing from her lips of air. Oh, though oft depressed and lonely, all my fears are laid aside, if I but remember only such as these have lived and died. The next poem is called Flowers. This is sort of a long poem, so I'm going to mute for just a moment to hydrate and stretch a bit. So this poem, Flowers, as I said, is a little bit long, and Longfellow goes on and on and on about flowers And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the whole poem. Let's enjoy it together. Flowers by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Spake full well in language quaint and olden, one who dwelleth by the castled Rhine, when he called the flowers so blue and golden, stars that in earth's firmament do shine. Stars they are, wherein we read our history, as astrologers and seers of eld, yet not wrapped about with awful mystery like the burning stars which they beheld. Wondrous truths, and manifold as wondrous, God hath written in those stars above, but not less in the bright flowerets under us stands the revelation of his love. Bright and glorious is that revelation, written all over this great world of ours, making evident our own creation in these stars of earth, these golden flowers. And the poet, faithful and far-seeing, sees alike in stars and flowers a part of the self-same universal being, which is throbbing in his brain and heart. Gorgeous flowerets in the sunlight shining, blossoms flaunting in the eye of day, tremulous leaves with soft and silver lining, buds that open only to decay. Brilliant hopes, all woven in gorgeous tissues, flaunting gaily in the golden light. Large desires with most uncertain issues, tender wishes blossoming at night. These, in flowers and men, are more than seeming. Workings are they of the self-same powers, which the poet, in no idle dreaming, seeth in himself and in the flowers. Everywhere about us are they glowing, some like stars to tell us spring is born. Others, their blue eyes with tears o'erflowing, stand like Ruth amid the golden corn. Not alone in spring's armorial bearing, and in summer's green emblazoned field, but in arms of brave old autumn's wearing, in the center of his brazen shield. Not alone in meadows and green alleys, on the mountain top and by the brink of sequestered pools in woodland valleys, where the slaves of nature stoop to drink. Not alone in her vast dome of glory, not on graves of bird and beast alone, but in old cathedrals high and hoary, on the tombs of heroes carved in stone, in the cottage of the rudest peasant, in ancestral homes whose crumbling towers, speaking of the past unto the present, tell us of the ancient games of flowers, In all places then, and in all seasons, flowers expand their light and soul-like wings, teaching us, by most persuasive reasons, how akin they are to human things. And with childlike, credulous affection, we behold their tender buds expand, emblems of our own great resurrection, emblems of the bright and better land. That was Flowers by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The next poem is called The Beleaguered City. It's another long poem, so I'm going to have another sip of water here. The Beleaguered City. I have read in some old, marvelous tale, some legend strange and vague, that a midnight host of spectres pale beleaguered the walls of Prague. Beside the Moldau's rushing stream, with the wan moon overhead, there stood, as in an awful dream, the army of the dead. White as a sea fog landward bound, the spectral camp was seen, and with a sorrowful, deep sound, the river flowed between. No other voice nor sound was there, no drum nor sentry's pace. The mist-like banners clasped the air, as clouds with clouds embrace. But when the old cathedral bell proclaimed the morning prayer, the white pavilions rose and fell on the alarmed air. Down the broad valley, fast and far, the troubled army fled. Up rose the glorious morning star. The ghastly host was dead. I have read in the marvelous heart of man that strange and mystic scroll, that an army of phantoms vast and wan beleaguer the human soul. Encamped beside life's rushing stream, in fancy's misty light, gigantic shapes and shadows gleam, portentous through the night. Upon its midnight battleground, the spectral camp is seen, and with a sorrowful, deep sound flows the river of life between. No other voice nor sound is there in the army of the grave. No other challenge breaks the air but the rushing of life's wave. And when the solemn and deep church bell entreats the soul to pray, the midnight phantoms feel the spell, the shadows sweep away. Down the broad vale of tears afar, the spectral camp is fled. Faith shineth as a morning star. Our ghastly fears are dead. Hello, sucking Tom Cruise's toes. Very nice to see you back. I finished earlier today reading the complete works of Emily Dickinson. That took me quite a while. And now I'm starting on something that I think is going to take me even longer, which is the complete works of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Longfellow, I think, didn't write as many poems as Dickinson, but his poems tend to be very, very long. He did what, like words, it seems. Okay, the next poem is called Midnight Mass for the Dying Year, and it is also long. Yes, the year is growing old, and his eyes pale and bleared. Death, with frosty hand and cold, plucks the old man by the beard, sorely, sorely. The leaves are falling, falling, solemnly and slow. Caw, caw, the rooks are calling. It is a sound of woe, a sound of woe. Through woods and mountain passes, the winds like anthems roll. They are chanting solemn masses, singing pray for this poor soul. Pray, pray. And the hooded clouds like friars tell their beads in drops of rain and patter their doleful prayers, but their prayers are all in vain, all in vain. There he stands in the foul weather, the foolish, fond old year, crowned with wild flowers and with heather, like weak, despised Lear, a king, a king. Then comes the summer-like day, bids the old man rejoice. His joy, his last, oh, the man grey, loveth that ever-soft voice, gentle and low. To the crimson woods he saith, to the voice gentle and low, of the soft air like a daughter's breath, pray do not mock me so, do not laugh at me. And now the sweet day is dead, cold in his arms it lies. No stain from its breath is spread over the glassy skies. no mist or stain. Then too the old year dieth, and the forests utter a moan, like the voice of one who crieth in the wilderness alone. Vex not his ghost. Then comes with an awful roar, gathering and sounding on, the storm wind from Labrador, the wind Euroclydon, the storm wind. Howl, howl, and from the forest sweep the red leaves away. Would the sins that thou abhorrest, O soul, could thus decay and be swept away. For thou shalt come a mightier blast, there shall be a darker day, and the stars from heaven downcast, like red leaves, be swept away. Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison. That was Midnight Mass for the Dying Year by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I think he might have been under the influence when he wrote it. Or perhaps I just don't get it. Anyway, the next poem is An April Day. I'm going to take another quick break here. An April day, when the warm sun that brings seed time and harvest has returned again. 'Tis sweet to visit the still wood where springs the first flower of the plain. I love the season well, when forest glades are teeming with bright forms, nor dark and many folded clouds foretell the coming on of storms. From the earth's loosened mold the sapling draws its sustenance and thrives, though stricken to the heart with winter's cold, the drooping tree revives. The softly warbled song comes from the pleasant woods, and colored wings glance quick in the bright sun that moves along the forest openings. When the bright sunset fills the silver woods with light, the green slope throws its shadows in the hollows of the hills, and wide the upland grows. And when the eve is born, in the blue lake the sky o'er-reaching far is hollowed out, and the moon dips her horn, and twinkles many a star. Inverted in the tide stand the grey rocks, and trembling shadows throw, and the fair trees look over side by side, and see themselves below. Sweet April, many a thought is wedded unto thee as hearts are wed. nor shall they fail till to its autumn brought life's golden fruit is shed. Next we have a poem called Autumn. With what a glory comes and goes the year. The buds of spring, those beautiful harbingers of sunny skies and cloudless times, enjoy life's newness and earth's garniture spread out. And when the silver habit of the clouds comes down upon the autumn sun, and with a sober gladness the old year takes up his bright inheritance of golden fruits, a pomp and pageant fill the splendid scene. There is a beautiful spirit breathing now, its mellow richness on the clustered trees, and from a beaker full of richest dyes, pouring new glory on the autumn woods, and dipping in warm light the pillared clouds, morn on the mountain like a summer bird lifts her purple wing, and in the vales the gentle wind, a sweet and passionate wooer, kisses the blushing leaf, and stirs up life within the solemn woods of ash, deep crimsoned, and silver beech, and maple yellow-leaved, where autumn, like a faint old man, sits down by the wayside aweary. Through the trees the golden robin moves, the purple finch that on wild cherry and red cedar feeds. A winter bird comes with its plaintive whistle and pecks by the witch hazel, whilst aloud from cottage roofs the warbling bluebird sings, and merrily, with oft-repeated stroke, sounds from the threshing floor the busy flail. Oh, what a glory doth this world put on for him who with a fervent heart goes forth under the bright and glorious sky and looks on duties well performed and days well spent. For him the wind, aye, and the yellow leaves shall have a voice and give him eloquent teachings. He shall so hear the solemn hymn that death has lifted up for all, that he shall go to his long resting place without a tear. That was Autumn by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And hello, Tiny Foundry. Welcome to the Grizzly Bears. I am glad to have you here. We are reading tonight poetry by Longfellow. Longfellow is a long-winded fellow, Most of his poems. Oops. I'm zooming myself instead of scrolling. Don't do that. Most of his poems are quite long, I find. Which is fine, especially for an ASMR poetry stream. But I do think actually that one of the greatest aspects of poetry is its economy of words. Some poems can say quite a lot with only a few words, but not Longfellow. Longfellow says quite a lot with quite a lot of words. Anyway, nothing wrong with that. But it does mean that it's going to take quite a long time to get through all these poems. Okay, the next poem is called Woods in Winter. When winter winds are piercing chill, and through the hawthorn blows the gale, with solemn feet I tread the hill that overbrows the lonely vale. O'er the bare upland and away, through the long reach of desert woods, the embracing sunbeams chastely play, and gladden these deep solitudes. Where, twisted round the barren oak, the summer vine in beauty clung, and summer winds the stillness broke, the crystal icicle is hung, where from their frozen urns mute springs pour out the river's gradual tide. Shrilly the skater's iron rings and voices fill the woodland side. Alas, how changed from the fair scene when birds sang out their mellow lay, and winds were soft, and woods were green, and the song ceased not with the day. But still wild music is abroad, pale desert woods within your crowd, and gathering winds in hoarse accord among the vocal reeds pipe loud. Chill airs and wintry winds, my ear has grown familiar with your song. I hear it in the opening year. I listen, and it cheers me long. Okay. The next poem, I think, will be my last for tonight. Because my voice doesn't seem to be doing all that well. I suspect I'm not going to like this poem just from looking at the title and skimming it. But we will soldier on. Give me a moment to clear my throat. All right, this poem is called Hymn of the Moravian Nuns of Bethlehem at the Consecration of Pulaski's Banner. When the dying flame of day through the chancel shot its ray, far the glimmering tapers shed faint light on the cowled head, and the censer burning swung where before the altar hung the crimson banner that with prayer had been consecrated there. And the nun's sweet hymn was heard the while, sung low in the dim, mysterious aisle. Take thy banner, may it wave proudly o'er the good and brave. When the battle's distant wail breaks the Sabbath of our vale, when the clarion's music thrills to the hearts of these lone hills, when the spear in conflict shakes, and the strong lance shivering breaks, take thy banner and beneath the battle cloud's encircling wreath, guard it till our homes are free. Guard it, God will prosper thee. In the dark and trying hour, in the breaking forth of power, in the rush of steeds and men, his right hand will shield thee then. Take thy banner, but when night closes round the ghastly fight, if the vanquished warrior bow, spare him by our holy vow, by our prayers and many tears, by the mercy that endears. Spare him, he our love hath shared. Spare him, as thou wouldst be spared. Take thy banner, and if e'er thou shouldst pass the soldier's bier, and the muffled drum should beat to the tread of mournful feet, then this crimson flag shall be martial cloak and shroud for thee. The warrior took that banner proud, and it was his martial cloak and shroud. Thank you for the follow, Reverse Wipe. Welcome to the Grizzly Bears. You are follower number 36. I'm beginning to think I might eventually make it to 50. Let's see here. I might be able to do one more poem, depending on how long it is. It looks like it's not too bad, so I'll go ahead and do it. Okay, this one is called Sunrise on the Hills. I stood upon the hills when heaven's wide arch was glorious with the sun's returning march, and woods were brightened and soft gales went forth to kiss the sun-clad vales. The clouds were far beneath me, bathed in light. They gathered midway round the wooded height, and in their fading glory shone like hosts in battle overthrown. As many a pinnacle with shifting glance through the gray mist thrust up its shattering lance, and rocking on the cliff was left the dark pine blasted bare and cleft. The veil of cloud was lifted, and below glowed the rich valley, and the river's flow was darkened by the forest shade, or glistened in the white cascade, where upward in the mellow blush of day the norsy bittern wheeled his spiral way. I heard the distant waters dash, I saw the current whirl and flash, and richly by the blue lake's silver beach the woods were bending with a silent reach. Then o'er the vale with gentle swell the music of the village bell came sweetly to the echo-giving hills, and the wild horn whose voice the woodland fills was ringing to the merry shout that faint and far the glen sent out, where, answering the sudden shot, thin smoke through thick-leaved branches from the dingle broke. If thou art worn and hard beset with sorrows that thou wouldst forget, if thou wouldst read a lesson that will keep thy heart from fainting and thy soul from sleep, go to the woods and hills. No tears dim the sweet look that nature wears. That was Sunrise on the Hills by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And that will be the last poem that I read tonight. But I will be back to continue reading Longfellow. Should be Thursday evening this week at the latest, but I might find an opportunity to squeeze in a short stream in the morning, one of these mornings before that. So with that, I will leave you. I hope you enjoyed these poems by Longfellow. I hope they brought you a sense of calm and presence and relaxation. And I hope you can carry that feeling with you through the rest of your day or your evening or your night and into your sleep, whatever time it is for you. Until next time, goodbye.